Okay, my second question, now I'm going to get off air so you guys can, talk about it. So I'm going to tell you a crazy story that happened 3 weeks ago. Okay, because, a crazy story. So, obviously, I quit my job. I resigned. So I'm going back home because I don't know what the hell is going to happen in this world. Just with my mom and whatnot. So I was taking Uber to work. Okay, so I was like, I don't know why the GPS isn't working because I just take Uber everywhere. And so, we get to my work and I'm going to take a left here. It's just easy over here. So what happened was, I'm allowed to cuss, right?
Yeah, you can cuss a little bit. This is a family show, though.
Have you heard me?
This is a family show
at all?
Okay. Okay. So I'll take a left over here. Because I'm looking at the time, and then he's all, "What the fuck is that?" And I looked up. I was like, "Holy fucking shit!" Okay. So there was this huge, vehicle that came down from the sky. It made no noise. It was black as hell. And mind you, it was 8 o'clock in the morning. It was at night. There was no lights. It was like not a silver sphere or a TikTok looking anything. It basically was huge. And it came down, this is my Uber driver. So I'm completely sober. I don't even do drugs anyways, And he was like, "What the hell was that?" I just looked up and I was like, "What the fuck?" And then it came down, but it was huge. It was black. And it had no propellers. It made no noise whatsoever. But the unique thing about that, because now I know when people get scared and deer in the headlights, because usually I'm the first one to run. I was like, I don't know what that is. I will flee, And I just sat there and I was like, oh my gosh. And he's like, "What the hell is that?" So for me to describe it, it was huge. And it looked like almost, it wasn't solid, made out of metal, whatever. It almost looked like a hologram, and it had a little tail on it, like a helicopter. Okay, and it just flowed down. It just flowed.
How quickly?
I got scared.
How quickly did it descend? From where you couldn't see it to where you could see it. How many seconds took place?
I think it took about 10 seconds.
Okay.
So we had a good look at it, and I've only told 2 people because I don't want to sound crazy,
Yeah.
But it happened in the morning, which was weird. And so it disappeared. And then I got scared because it went behind my work's building. And I was like, he was just shocked. And I was like, "Wait here for 2 minutes. I'm going to go in and pretend like I'm sick. And I want to get out of here because I don't know what's going to happen." But he left me. He left like a frightened horse. I came back out. He just he just took off. I was like, "Okay, now you're going to leave me to get abducted," whatever, And so I pretend I was sick. I was like, "I don't feel well. I got a cough." I just said I had a cough. And I was like, "Well, you better go home." And then I had to cut another Uber driver, which, took 20 minutes. So I don't know what we saw, but my friend, she graduated from Berkeley and she's an architect, and that's one of the only friends, that I told besides my mom. My mom got scared or whatever. And she wanted me to draw it out. I was like, I'm not an architect. I can't draw this out. But it wasn't the typical UFOs. People say, it's silver and sphere or TikTok or, whatever.
Was it?
It wasn't like this at all.
Was it triangular?
So I'm thinking,
was it like a triangle?
It was like a hologram. Nope. It was like a big black. The only thing what I would say, it's like a helicopter just had a little tail, but there was no propellers at all, and there was no noise whatsoever. And usually when you have something that big come down, you can see the the trees moving with air, but it was silent.
How far away? How far away would you say you were from it?
Oh, it was right above us.
Okay.
It was right above us, and I think that's why the Uber driver got so scared. He left me. I asked him stay for 2 minutes and go back home. But he got so scared, it was he left. So I'm thinking, because I'm thinking is this or is it? Because first I'm not thinking it's a UFO because I think about the military because I watch the military channel. I'm from a military family, And so I know our technology is crazy, but my dad always told me that, whatever you see, with the technology, in the military, the 30 years ahead.
Probably,
You're not going to show the public. Yeah. So I don't know what it is, but I was thinking Project Bluebeam. Are they starting? Are they testing? Because I think 90% of UFO sightings is basically military testing. Because I have a lot of friends in the military still.
Very possible.
So okay.
Hey,
well,
thank you for the story.
Okay.
Did you experience real quick? Did you experience any missing time?
I don't want to keep you guys on the phone that long, so
okay.
I guess that'll be another call. But I guess the next time I'm gonna talk to you guys is after my move. So I'm moving to Santa Cruz.
Well, good luck.
With a whole bunch of
good luck. Have a safe trip, and we'll talk to you next time.
Okay, thank you.
Bye. Wow. Okay.
Okay, thank you for your call.
Maybe I'll ask her next time. Maybe there's more to the missing time thing than she wanted to get into right now. But a dark vehicle.
That seemed like
a dark vehicle descending from the sky, hovering, scaring the crap out of her and her Uber driver. And she had to call a new Uber. But okay.
Hey, so play that clip. Go to the time.
Let me get this quick call.
Oh, we got a call.
Yeah. Hey, caller, you're on the air.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, what's up, guys?
What's going on? Who we talking to?
It's Jordan again.
Hey, Jordan.
You're out of your neighborhood, big city boy.
Can we call you Falcon from now on?
If you want to.
Falcon. Yeah. All right. You're a regular caller. You're Falcon.
I like that.
All right.
What's up, guys?
What's going on?
Is that what you were talking about, Mike? Is you were going to give people names? Like you weren't going to let them have their real names? You were going to give them assigned names, like nicknames?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not a bad idea, Joe.
You're Falcon from now on. All right, Falcon, go ahead. What's on your mind?
I was going to comment on your previous caller. I've heard her before called, and she sort of had a similar experience that I had with my kind of really only UFO encounter that I can remember. Sort of kind of same situation. It was in a car, but it was when I was a kid. It was daylight, and the UFO to me, from what I can remember, looked like just probably as big as a helicopter, maybe as big as a small airplane size, perfect triangle shaped UFO. Didn't make any noise, but it did sped off like a real high speed. I would probably say by the time I looked at it one more time, it just blinked out of my existence. So I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. We sort of had the same similar, different type of UFO, but it was the same concept. It was near a car, daytime or whatever, and it was pure black, no lights. I couldn't even tell it was like made out of metal or anything that would be considered metal. It was just pitch black.
Wow. So did you experience any missing time, and how long did your encounter last for?
Well, from what I can remember, I was in a car with my younger brother and my mom's boyfriend at the time. This is probably maybe a little bit 10 years ago. To me, we were stuck in a traffic line. Like, it was like a traffic on the freeway heading towards Atlanta. And I just looked on one side of the road, saw a triangle-shaped object come by, and then it went on the other side and just disappeared when I blinked. So I don't think any time sped away. That was my only weird UFO experience. And then the only other paranormal thing I could think of that ever happened to me was like seeing shadow people. But I've been delving into that a little bit more, and they kind of go along with either a poltergeist or maybe it was some sort of like entity I kept seeing. But that was really only two paranormal experiences I can think of over the years.
Was the UFO encounter 10 years ago, could you describe the shape of that?
It was like perfect triangle.
Oh, triangle. Okay, so it's a black triangle.
Black triangle, but it was a lot smaller than like the famous. I remember there's another famous. I saw it on Unsolved Mysteries years ago, but it was another famous sort of triangle UFO. I think it was in Chicago or Illinois. It was sort of similar to the Phoenix Lights, where multiple people saw it. and it slowly traveled around in one area to another area. But like I said, the size of it probably as big as a helicopter, maybe as large as a small biplane. But yeah, no noise. I had the window down and everything. No noise whatsoever, and the speed of it was incredible. Like I said, I barely even blinked, and it was already gone in my view. Just how fast it moved. So, like she was saying, I mean, it could be. I don't know. I always thought, as growing up, maybe it was a U.S. Special Forces kind of vehicle. But as I got older now, to me, it seems like just probably maybe an alien. Who knows? But that was the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life, and it was like the only paranormal experience I've ever had in my life, other than the UFO and the shadow people, and that was about it.
Oh, interesting stuff. Well, hey, thanks,
Right,
Falcon.
right. No problem, and I was going to mention for that COVID thing that you guys were talking about, that sounded like a 4chan joke to me with the whole butt plug thing.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
So I was just imagining some commercial where it's like, if you like anal sex, but you can spread COVID, why'd you just plug it up with a dildo or something?
Next
it
thing,
was a horrible joke.
We'll be walking around with counterfeit Chinese butt plugs to save ourselves from COVID. People waddling around outside of the grocery stores.
Rolex butt plug.
Gold-plated butt plug, yeah.
That's the way to go.
Well, hey, thanks, Falcon.
Guys, I hope you can have a good show, and talk to you guys later.
All right, bye.
Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon.
Boom. There goes Falcon right there.
Can we play this last one?
Yeah, caller, you're on the air.
Is this better?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Oh, okay.
Hello.
Fantastic.
Hello?
What's going on, buddy?
Not too much. I just wanted to call and share my UAP experience that I had a long time ago. Oh, I guess not a long time ago, about back in 2014. I guess I will just kind of start off by saying the reason why I decided to call on this specific topic was that one lady that always calls in. Usually, and I usually don't like to judge people, but usually when she calls in, I kind of just do, that Trump sigh, the one that you guys always play.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the more that I listened to her story, the more I started thinking to myself, I was like, that sounds like what I saw. And
now,
so,
just before you go on, to recap, she talked about she was in an Uber and this black object dropped out of the sky and it left her and her Uber driver kind of stunned for about 10 to 15 seconds.
Yes, correct. Yep, that is the story I'm referring to.
And she couldn't quite answer your question on the shape.
No, she couldn't answer the question on the shape of this thing, so maybe you have additional insight. So please go ahead.
Okay, so I will start off by saying I was up in, I was near Shelburne, Ontario. I lived in Ontario for 2.5 years. I was playing junior hockey up there. And it was me and 4 of my friends. And where we were located, it was basically in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it was a hockey school. And I mean, we would bus from where we were staying, which was like the hockey school in the middle of nowhere. And we would bus. It was like a 45-minute bus ride to like the nearest town that had a rink. So we were basically in the middle of nowhere. And just from, word of mouth, I heard that there was like some sort of Air Force base over there. Well, anyways, it was about, I'd say about like midnight, 1 a.m. And it was me and 4 of my buddies. We were in there, and I will not confirm nor deny that we were partaking in a little bit of the devil's lettuce. And so we were all sitting there, and at first, like, we're all sitting there, and I was just like looking out, and I mean, it's not really hilly or anything. And I mean, there was, a lot of pine trees around us, but beautiful night sky, no like radiation or anything up in the, like in the sky or anything that you could see. It was just all stars. Well, it looked like it was super far off in the distance. And there was like this like 2 bright lights, and I'm looking at them, and like, they weren't blinking, just like how a plane would or anything. Nothing like that. And so I said to my buddies, I'm like, hey, like, you guys see that out there? And they're like, yeah. They're like, dude, those are just planes. And like, they told me, they're like, it's nothing. So I was like, okay, whatever. Well, then as time passed on, those lights started getting closer. And I'm like, guys, I mean, look at this. Like, they're getting closer. They're not blinking. What is that? Like, they're perfectly spread apart. And they're like, oh, yeah, now I see it. Well, then a little bit more time passed. And as soon, I don't know, it was probably about, this whole encounter lasted maybe about 10 minutes. But by the time it got to us and I looked back up, it was maybe, I would say, not even like a mile, 2 miles out. And it was wide. I mean, that's the best way I could say it. And eventually it finally, like, we're all just like watching it, and just like out of nowhere, it was just like, it went from one part of the sky almost right in front of us. And it was right above the treetops. And I mean, like, we had all of our windows down and we're just looking at this thing, and it looked like it was coming straight for our car. And so like, we're all sitting there just like not saying anything. And we're like, it's like, do you see what I see? And everyone's like, yeah, we see what you see. And so all of a sudden it was, I would say maybe about 60 to 100 feet above the treetops. And the best way that I can explain it, and it gets to, you know, like the way that the shape is of this whole craft, was that it looked like a stealth bomber, but it was, I would say, about 3 or 4 times larger than the stealth bomber. There was no visible cockpit. Those lights were still on the tip of the wings. I mean, not making a single sound, nothing. And the only thing is, as it passed over us, there was this bright blue orb on the bottom of it. I don't know if, you know, if that's like a weapon or what it was, but it was like a pulsating blue light. Like, it was almost like a bluish purple. And it flew over us, no wind, no sound, nothing. It was just like it was gliding, and it glided right over our car. We all got out of the car and we just stood there and we watched it, and it just kept gliding, and it just glided off into the distance, and that was it.
Oh, fascinating. How long did that entire experience last?
It was about, I want to say like 5 to 10 minutes, if that.
That's quite a long time.
It was just like, we just noticed it out in the sky, and I was the first one to notice it. And everyone, like I said, no one was like, you know, just don't worry about it, you know. But then as it got closer, that's when we all kind of started paying attention.
It sounds it sounds very similar to like a Phoenix Light experience back in 1996.
Really? I'd have to look into that one more. But I mean, yeah, that's my story with that. And I mean, it's something that I'll never forget. I mean, it was massive, and it was as black as night. And I mean, if it wasn't for those lights, like, we probably would not have seen it even go over our heads. But
man,
like,
I love that
unexplainable.
Yeah, I love that, because it's very similar to ones you hear before with those huge black triangles, not the like stealth type, not the like tier 3 Beeble, but the big ones, you know, the light in the center, the dark, like it blots out the stars and half the sky, silent over the trees. It's super similar, man. I know a few people that have seen that. So it just makes you wonder. It's so consistent, that story.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. And like, even like, I mean, me and my fiance were driving back from her parents, and like, even before I even said anything, like, I told her this story, you know, when we first met, because we got on the topic of, you know, aliens and ghosts and the paranormal and stuff. And she looked at me and just goes, that sounds like what you described to me, like the thing that happened to you. And I was like, yeah, that's almost identical. But the thing is, and that was what I was going to question about her story, was, did she see that in the daytime? Or was it the evening when she saw that? That was the part that really, you know, kind of boggled my mind, was just the fact that, how did she see that during the day? And then how did no one else see that during the day? That was like what really perplexed me.
UFOs that size, like what you saw, that's like an airship. The Phoenix Lights, and everything that I've heard and read about it, that's like an airship. Super, super big. And there are edges that are defined. There are some lights. Sometimes some people recall like a power source in the center of it. My uncle was working at the Air Force Base at the time. He's like a former pilot. And so he's working PR at the Phoenix, at an Air Force Base in Phoenix during the Phoenix Lights. And he confirmed to me that his base commander the colonel on base there said it wasn't one of theirs, and they scrambled jets up. And that's what he told me. That's what they told the press. And I suspect that there are multiple different types of UFOs and military projects. And I think one of those projects is giant kind of stealth ships like that. Platforms, basically. That very well could be one of them.
But see, the thing is that, like, from a physics perspective, like, especially with something that large, like, it would have to have something propelling it. And, I mean, as far as I know, like, we only currently really have engines. And, I mean, that's the part, you know what I mean? Like, if you have an engine running, you have to have some sort of exhaust.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where it gets freaky, and that's where it goes into this super secret technology. And if they got this kind of stuff, super powerful engines that are really efficient, then they could save the planet. You know, they could do amazing stuff with that power source. Some people rumored that it's a rotating Mercury. Like if you rotate Mercury at a certain angle, at a certain speed, it produces some sort of lift kind of capability. I don't know. Those are all rumors, and like the TR-3B stuff, like which is rumored as well, and the Project Orion. I have no doubt you saw something. It's just kind of pinpoint down. Was it made here on Earth or not?
One other thing that I forgot to mention in my story too was that the fact that it wasn't, I mean, you look at a stealth bomber, right? And I mean, I'm not talking about how wide it was. I'm like right now, I'm specifically talking about like how, like the height of it. I would say that, I mean, it was thin. That was the other part too, that like I said, there was no cockpit on it or anything. It was just that blue light at the bottom, and it was thin. I would say no more than 10 feet in height, if that. And it was very streamlined. And I mean, with it being dark too, I mean, it's hard to see body lines as it is. But I mean, it was, I mean, the closest thing that I could describe it to is definitely like a stealth bomber. But I mean, the thing is that with physics, especially with something that large, it didn't move any of the trees. Like anything that is flying like that, even if it's gliding, it's going to have some sort of, you know, like wind coming off of it, or it's going to be, you know, exasperating wind below it. It's going to be pushing the wind off from the sides, anything like that. The trees did not move one bit. And it was at a height that, I mean, especially with something that large moving through the sky, it definitely would have made some sort of ruckus, or it would have moved the trees. The trees didn't move. It was like time was standing still, and just us and the ship were just like the only ones actually moving, or just like watching this thing fly through the sky. Like everything was like almost like it stood still. It's not that like we lost time or anything. And I mean, none of us, I mean, weed's weed. You know what I mean? Like it's
no missing
not like
time.
It was laced or anything. Like, I mean, people can make that and try to, you know, make that argument all day.
What year was this?
I want to say it was like, it was 2014.
2014, not that long ago. Okay.
Correct. Right. And I mean, it was just the whole experience, I mean, itself. And it's just like, I think about it still from time to time. It's like, what did I see? And,
of course.
I mean, when that lady like brought up that story, I mean, I'm like, okay, well, I'm not the only one. And I believe there was another caller that kind of, I mean, I think it was right after her, and he kind of described like the same sort of type of thing that he saw in the sky too. And I mean, it's like, well, I mean,
oh man, you're not alone out there. You're not alone.
Exactly.
You're not alone.
It's like either the government or some sort of secret agency definitely has some technology that none of us know about, or it's off this planet. And I mean, you're a fool to think that like we're the only ones in like this galaxy, or I mean, just outside of this earth. Like only small-minded people think like that. I mean, if you want to be a scientist, or if you have an educated mind, or I mean, if you want to know more, like you have to understand and accept the fact that we are not the only ones that live in this universe, or you know, in this galaxy. Like it's theoretically impossible. Like, I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Well, I agree with you. Hey, thank you for calling up with your story. It's fascinating. Call in again, definitely, sir. Thank you.
Oh, definitely. I'm gonna give you a call. I still have to call you about those dreams that I had a couple of months ago. Definitely want to talk about those with you. Whenever you guys have that conversation again.
Cool, man.
I don't know if you. Okay.
Take it easy, man. Blow them up. Boom.
If you want to join the Slack or Discord, give us an email at ourbigdumbmouth@gmail.com. Check out obdmpod.com for all the social media and donation links. Be a part of the magic.